Himalayan pink salt has surged in popularity in recent years, especially from those seeking a healthier alternative to regular table salt. But is it really healthier than table salt, and does it have less of a negative impact on things like blood pressure? In short, it is healthier than regular table salt, but by how much? That is what I'll discuss in this video. Before we get started, let's just first clarify what's so bad about salt in general. Well, salt is an essential nutrient that our body needs for numerous biological processes like transmitting nerve impulses, helping with contraction and relaxation of muscle fibers, and maintaining fluid balance throughout the body. So, no, salt is a bad thing. We need salt. On the other hand, too much salt is equally not good. High salt or sodium levels, I'll explain the difference between these in a moment, has been linked to high blood pressure, which in turn is connected to a very wide range of negative health conditions and bone disorders. When it comes to salt in general, it's all about balance, and this rule applies regardless of whether you're consuming pink salt or regular table salt. Now, you may have noticed I just used the term salt or sodium as if these were interchangeable. Well, there's a difference between the two. They're not the same. Salt contains sodium. Sodium is a chemical element that helps make up salt. It's part of salt, in other words, not the whole thing. So this means that different types of salt contain differing levels of sodium depending on its specific chemical composition. Typically, pink Himalayan salt does contain less sodium than regular table salt, around 1/3 less. So whilst a teaspoon of regular table salt may contain around 2,360 milligrams of sodium, a teaspoon of pink Himalayan salt contains around 1,680 milligrams. And by the way, for perspective, the Dietary Guidelines for Americans recommends that adults limit sodium intake to less than 2,300 milligrams per day. So pretty much precisely 1 teaspoon of table salt per day. Meaning if you switch to pink Himalayan salt, you can afford yourself 1 1/3 teaspoons of salt per day under these guidelines. But bear in mind, this isn't just a guideline for added salt in cooking. This is a guideline for total sodium intake per day. So this includes any processed foods you consume and anything that contains naturally occurring sodium too. When you think about that, it's easy to see why so many people consume too much sodium on a daily basis. The guidelines really don't permit that much in relation to the typical Western diet. Beyond the reduced sodium content in pink Himalayan salt, it's also been found to contain other minerals that traditional table salt does not contain. Things like zinc, iron, calcium, magnesium and potassium. However, the levels of these minerals vary from pink salt to pink salt. There's even variance of mineral content not only from brand to brand but from batch to batch under the same brand. It's a natural material that's mined, so once a certain area is depleted, they move on to the next area, which naturally has a different mineral composition. So unless you're testing the specific batch of salt that you're about to consume, you'll never really know what the mineral composition is and what levels of each mineral it contains. There's also speculation that the mineral content can be negligible, so the benefits in this regard are questionable. So, in summary, switching to pink Himalayan salt from regular table salt can help to reduce or control your sodium intake by way of pink salt naturally containing less sodium than table salt. Bear in mind though, most people with a Western diet receive the bulk of their sodium from processed foods. So continuing to consume mostly processed foods but switching to pink Himalayan salt for cooking or seasoning purposes probably won't have the effect that you're seeking. If you want to reduce your sodium content and therefore combat things like high blood pressure, you really need to eliminate as many processed foods from your diet as possible. Eat freshly prepared foods, and this way you'll have a much clearer picture of how much sodium you're consuming. When you clean up your diet and start to do this, here's where switching to a lower sodium salt like pink Himalayan salt is really going to have maximum effect. So there you go. I hope you found this video useful, and if you did, please go ahead and subscribe by clicking the button below this video. And when you do, remember to also hit the bell symbol afterwards so you receive notifications of new health and wellness videos that we post. Thanks for watching.